Early previews for Cyberpunk are overwhelmingly positive, and Marvel's Avengers might be cool. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 237 of the It's Obvious podcast. My name is Garrett Drake. I'm joined online by Jacob Alka.
Hey, man.
And Preston Pugh.
How's it going?
Going quite well, gentlemen. How are you?
It's been good. Been very good. Been an interesting week in terms of the video game stratosphere, whatever you want to call it. A lot of interesting allegations have come out. So like up and down, like whether it's a streamer, whether it's Ubisoft, it's the spectrum ranges all over the place. But it's definitely made the week interesting to just follow along the news and see what the shit show has become.
Pretty wild out there. Pretty wild.
Yeah, but it's been a good week for me. How about you guys?
Yeah, been good for me.
Cool.
I haven't been following a lot of this news very closely, so
Yeah.
I really didn't see anything until yesterday. So yeah, it was definitely an explosion of news I found on Twitter. So I
guess
haven't really
it's
gone through it yet, but
it's like it's been all over like my Twitter and all over the place because, you know, a lot of it's been from the WoW community. And, you know, obviously that's something that I've closely, you know, keep ties with. So
yeah.
Maybe it's not that big of a deal in the industry. I mean, I'm not saying like it's not a big deal, but like it's just more apparent to me because of who I follow.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, in terms of my week, it was a pretty good week.
Nice, dude. Very nice.
Work going well?
Yeah.
Nice.
So far, so good. I don't know if it's just because of just the newness of the job, but the weeks are flying by, which I definitely can't complain about. It's like before I know it, the weekend's here. So definitely can't complain about that.
Beautiful.
So yeah, so far, so good.
Sweet.
Yeah.
My week was also good. All I did was work on videos for a couple different things. I finally put out my story video for COG and Last of Us. I enjoyed working on it. It's merely a smidge of what I have to say about that game. It's mostly like I made it like a lot of it's from the heart, but also I produced it in a way that's meant to be entertaining. Like none of my thoughts are necessarily exaggerated or reserved, but it's merely the bare minimum of what I have to say about the game. But I enjoyed working on it. So that was really what the bulk of my week was working on that video. Aside from that, played more Last of Us, and that was pretty much it for me. So good to see you both, though.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, good to see y'all as well. Yeah, pretty much in terms of gaming, I think we all probably played a decent amount of Last of Us. Jacob, you probably played a smidge of WoW in there as well, I'm assuming.
How'd you know?
Yeah, man, just a lucky guess.
You just know me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But yeah, I tried to set more time aside so I could actually get through The Last of Us, and I would have, bet any amount of money in the world that I would have beaten it by this point last week, but I have not yet. I'm
surprised.
I know, dude. I think I'm over 30 hours on my first playthrough. It is such a long game, but I'm at the end 100%. I probably, Garrett, would you say I have like an hour maybe? Not even?
Roughly, if that. Like probably roughly. Not even that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm definitely at the very end. So yeah, I've been trying to get through that, and I've been playing some Dishonored 2 as well. It's kind of just a relaxing, just chill game to kind of offset just the brutalness of The Last of Us. And I forgot how really good that. I mean, I know it's a good game. Like I really like that game, but playing it again, I'm just reminded how good it is. I'm getting through the Clockwork Mansion level, and that's just one of my favorite levels of all time. It's just so cool how you could just manipulate the level, and I think it's so cool how if you know what's going on in the level, you can I don't know how to talk about it if you haven't played the game. I know it's much
old at this point. You can talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about spoilers. Just
okay.
I don't want to like go into a tangent of like what this game is or what this
Well,
level
isn't that
is.
the level that has the cool mechanic that everyone was praising?
Well, there's like 2 levels in Dishonored 2 with cool mechanics, which this is one of them. The other is one where you're going back and forth in time. It's very reminiscent of like the Titanfall 2 campaign level. But this one is you're in a mansion that if you pull a lever, it'll morph, but you can actually get outside of the mansion, like into the walls, and see how it all moves and stuff, and actually sneak through that way. So when you first enter the mansion, if you pull a lever, the owner of the mansion will be alerted to your presence, and he'll activate, I believe, all like his clockwork soldiers and stuff. But if you have played the level before and know that you can get into the walls, you can actually sneak through the entire mansion without pulling a lever, and he'll never know that you're there. Which is, really cool. I love playing stealth games where nobody knows I'm there. So having that option is really awesome in that level. But yeah, just really enjoying that game on the side. So, and I'm sure we'll get to talk about The Last of Us in a second, but those are the 2 games that I've been playing this week.
Yeah. We have one news story about The Last of Us. It's really brief. It's more so just about the sales and how it's doing so far. But I have also been playing The Last of Us, and regrettably not as much as I would have liked. I think I said last week that I had intended on finishing the game by this next podcast, but that's not even close to being realized. I'm only 12 hours into the game after a whole week. I've only put in 12 hours, and it's quite it's a couple things actually. For one, I don't necessarily like every time I find myself playing The Last of Us, I can only play it for maybe an hour or 2 at a time, and I think that's why it's taking so long for me to get through it. And that's just whether I have other things going on, or like I'm just not enjoying the gameplay that much, or it's just a number of things that always pull me away. And because of that, like I honestly kind of feel bad because like we need to put a spoiler cast out for this game. And I'm like, God, I need to like get through this, but at the same time, like I'm not motivated to get through it for that reason. It's weird. I almost just want to say like you guys record a spoiler without me, because like I'm gonna try to really get it done this week. Like I need to hunker down and get it done, just because I feel like I'm obligated to. But I also don't want to like not hamper my experience with the game because I'm like forcing myself to play through it. But I don't want to like have it be like all doom and gloom. Like I'm really enjoying the game. It's just weird. Like I don't know. I oftentimes find myself getting frustrated when I play it. So especially like with what I was just talking to Preston about, like the I think they're called the Stalkers. About an hour ago, I met those for the first time, and it took me like 15-20 minutes to get past that part in the game. Like I just didn't really know how to deal with them at the time, so it took a little learning to, how can I get them away from where I need to go? Oh, I can throw a brick over here at this other side of the room, and I'll run over there, then maybe I can sneak by and get past that way. Or, I just go in guns blazing and, hope I can run away enough and shoot enough bullets to survive and not get my veins ripped out of my throat, as The Last of Us graphically likes to show the most brutal deaths, which is one of the things I do love about the game, because a lot of games shy away from that sort of stuff. But like I said, I'm enjoying the game a lot. It has its moments, and another thing that's really annoying in this game is the dogs. Oh my god, there's this little joke at work where I was ridiculing a guy for killing the dogs in the game. I was like, why would you kill a dog? You can't kill a dog. Like, even in a game, you can't do that. Then, like, I met the dogs for myself in the game, and I was like, okay, I get it. Like, these guys are so annoying. Like, the only way to deal with them is to, unfortunately, put a bullet in their heads. Like, it's just
that or an arrow from a distance.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't have the arrow at the time. I think you get the arrow during that sequence, actually. But yeah, you can't outsmart the dogs. You just gotta always be on the move and be aware of your surroundings. But it definitely makes being stealthy a whole lot more difficult. So
for sure, there surprisingly aren't that many dogs in the game.
Mm-hmm. Now only in a few key sequences.
Yeah, for the vast majority of the game, there are no dogs.
I think that was a good call on Naughty Dog's part too. I mean, if you had to deal with dogs every single encounter, that'd be so frustrating.
Yeah, for
sure. So there's a healthy balance for sure.
That's good to hear. But I think my favorite thing about the game so far is the flashbacks, and I'm probably not the only one that thinks that. Like, I don't want to spoil any of them, but I think the very first one you go on, the one with Joel, and that's all I'm gonna say.
I think, yeah, I think in terms of that, I think we can get a little light spoilery. I mean, the game's been out for a little bit, and even if you haven't played the game, people know,
yeah,
relatively know what's going on.
Exactly.
I still want to be careful, but I guess
for sure. I mean, I'm not saying like come out saying the ending, but like I don't think we have to be like as careful, especially about kind of the first half of the game.
Yeah, I guess we can dive more into this if you want to, but the first flashback is where Joel and Ellie go do something for Ellie's birthday, and I think it's just a really happy and positive moment. Like even if like the world wasn't the way that it was, I could see what they did as an experience being something really fun to do. So and like because of the fact that the world is just a complete crapshoot, and because they were there alone, and just seeing all the stuff the way that it was just really cool. And if I was a kid in that situation, I would have had a lot of fun. Not with a bunch of creepers or whatever they're called, dudes just all over the place, but just in the sense of where they went and what they experienced was really cool. And like what Joel gave to her at the end was really cool too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm loving the game, and I'm excited to get back to it. I was actually playing a little bit before we started recording this morning. So
nice.
Oh,
for sure.
I'll probably play a little more today.
I'm still enjoying it myself, man. I've been playing on Survivor. I played a little bit last night because I couldn't play it really all week because I was working on that video, but I finally had a chance to play it without like the thought of I need to make content for this now. So I got to actually just like sit down and play it, not thinking about anything else.
How does that feel?
It's amazing. It's always liberating, especially if it's a game I'm really excited about, like Red Dead, Spider-Man, this one. All initially, like I'm having to focus strongly on like, okay, what can I do to produce content for this with like that kind of creative mindset. But as soon as I get all that out of the way and I sit down to play a game again for the first time without having to worry about that, it's like the most liberating feeling ever. But I mean, as much as I enjoy creating content, it was cool to sit down and play it just freely for once. My headphones cranked all the way up. It's just absolutely terrifying. So I'm still really enjoying it. And yeah, so I'm excited to keep playing it. And I really, really look forward to having a spoiler cast with one or both of you, because I know we're all going to have so much to say. And like some really awesome conversations ahead of us, I'm certain of it. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, for sure. I again, I don't want to talk about specific spoilers and stuff, but I played probably about 3 or 4-ish hours last night, and the story beats that happened really hit me hard, and just like very like just like little things that happened, and I'd think about what they meant, or like I don't want to like I'm trying to dance around specifically saying what I'm trying to say, but pretty much something that happened last night, I kind of thought about what that meant, and it really like hit me hard, more so than any video game I've ever played, for sure. This game gives me a feeling that I've never experienced, especially playing a video game. And it's just like me and Garrett talked a little bit about it last night, and I'm kind of just I'm just so along for the ride that I'm just watching what's happening, and I don't really have any thoughts about what's happening, if that makes sense. It's just the point that I'm at is it's such an effed up situation that every character is in, that I'm just like geez, like this sucks. Not in the sense of like, oh, the story sucks, because I don't think the story sucks at all. I'm just like, the situation these characters are in is just so
very
bad.
dire.
It's so depressing that I'm just sitting there playing, and I'm just like man, like this is just so sad. And I think that's what's different. And me and Garrett talked about it as well, is because I don't know if I'm actually in the minority, or me and Garrett are actually in the minority or not, because I see several people on Twitter talking about how incredible this game is, but then of course there's another subset that's just continuously saying how bad the writing is or anything, and I don't agree with that at all. And I've seen all the arguments about why it's bad, and it's just like I don't even know if there's like really an argument that needs to take place. It's like they'll say something that they think is bad, and like I just don't feel that way. Or it's just like I'm just taking the story for what it is. Like what's happening is just what's happened. I'm just like along for the ride watching it. I don't, and I've been thinking about that, and it's kind of hard to explain. Just at no point during playing this game I've thought about like that was a bad decision or why'd they do it. I'm just accepting it for what it is, and if something happens that sucks, I mean, it just sucky stuff happens. It just they're just in a bad situation, and that's just what I'm taking it as. I don't know if that makes sense or not. It's kind of just I've been thinking about how to explain that feeling I'm having, and I think that's the best way that I can do it. So sorry if it doesn't make complete sense. It's just hard to kind of explain that.
I think we kind of understand what you were trying to say.
Yeah.
For me, it's just a really, really dark and gloomy game, and like without the flashbacks, which I've heard that they do start off lighthearted and happy and fun, but I've heard they sort of become like the tone sort of more becomes like what the main narrative is in the game. So like I wonder, like, even if is the narrative going to be enough for me to want to keep playing, which I assume it would be, but like, am I going to be even less like, I guess,
less inclined to continue?
Yeah, like I hope like that doesn't happen to me. Like I'm not saying like I don't like sad things in games, or like I don't know. Like I just hope that I don't lose interest. Like I don't see myself losing interest, but I hope that there are just really great things on the horizon that I really do enjoy in the game, because I do fear that in a sense. Because like I said, I do feel obligated to actually finish this game. So, but I mean, just hearing you guys, how much both of you have enjoyed it so far, I'm not too.
Yeah, and that's, I think that's just where it's just different for people, is because the things that happen in this game, like there's an event that happens in this game, and I've seen some streamers get to it or some people discuss it, and they're just like, they don't even want to continue playing the game after some things happen. And I'm not even talking about like what happens at the beginning of the game. Like I'm talking about things that happen like midway through the game. And just for me, like I never one time had that feeling. I was consistently engaged and like wanting to know about these specific characters, and like there are characters that I've ended up really liking a lot. And yeah, that's all I can really say without going in full spoiler mode. But I personally, I was 100% engaged, and I didn't feel like I like needed to like, oh man, I need to like force myself to get through this part. I never had a feeling like that.
Mm-hmm. So about a couple hours ago in the game, a really cool like moment happened while exploring the world. You guys probably both experienced this, but so I went into this building and I went up to the second floor, and there's a lot of stuff to loot in this building. So I like looted the whole thing, and then I came up to a workbench, and I started to work on my gun, and then next thing I know, 5 people show up behind me, and they just jump me. Like these are just random people, and they start claiming that I'm the WLF, and they try to kill me. So I killed them all, and turns out they were all hiding in the spare bedroom of this room, or this apartment that I was, and I actually tried to check this room, but the door was locked. Yeah. So I just assumed like, oh, maybe I'll find a key somewhere, whatever. So I just went to go work on this bench, and like I said, they just jumped me. And then I went into the room, read a note, and they were like, they, and they, like, I remember they called me WLF, and like Ellie made a comment like, oh, they thought I was the WLF, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So I just thought that that was like a really cool moment, and that like made me think of like Garrett saying, oh, there's a lot of there's reasons to explore the world. It pays off, and that was just a cool moment that just happened to me that I remembered.
I like tricking you like that almost. It's like when you see a workbench, you think of it as like a safe space.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of turn that part of your brain off, and then them kind of messing with that. Because from that point on, when I would see a workbench, I would like check everything around, make sure everything's good and stuff. I think the first couple after that, I would actually set a proximity mine behind Ellie as I did my workbench, and then I'd pick it up when I left.
That's a fun idea. Next time I get to that part in the game, I'm going to try that and see what happens.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what I was already thinking about doing.
Yeah, that's what I think is amazing. That's a fun side note about that encounter in particular. I had to capture hours worth of footage for the video I just did, so I had to go back through large chunks of the game to get specific moments, and that I passed by that moment and just out of curiosity I wanted to know like what it felt like if I just was totally oblivious to that building and just bypassed it. And just like you said, you don't experience that moment, which is what's amazing. Is that I think that's one of like the standouts for me of surprising encounters in the game, was that one in particular. And I was almost sad passing by it just to get to where I was going. And I was like, man, it's crazy to think that some people may just completely bypass many moments like that throughout the entire game.
Yeah, and I wonder like if like that's the kind of gamer you are, like you see like, okay, I see this road and then I also see a house over here that I could go into. Am I the kind of gamer that just mainlines it down the road and goes where I need to go, like following the Highway 5 signs, which is what the narrative is telling me to do? Or am I more of a curious person where I just want to explore everything and find all the supplies that I will need to make more stuff? Like personally, I'm the latter, but if someone's the former, do they have a less good time with the game? I don't know. Like maybe those experiences start to add up for other people. I don't know.
Yeah, that's where I found the harder difficulty helps, because on moderate, by the end of the game, and we'll talk about this in depth in our spoiler discussion, but the latter half of the gameplay did start to drag for me, mostly because I was more invested in the story than the gameplay at that point, and that's because moderate enabled me to just kind of coast throughout the entire game. And but on Survivor, it's very different, because every discovery I find, especially safes, are 10 times more rewarding than they were on moderate. I tell you, 9 out of the 10 safes I open on moderate, I couldn't even grab anything inside. So I'd waste my time finding the code, and I'd punch in the code, and I literally can't grab any of it. Yeah. So every time I find a safe on Survivor, it's like a gold mine every single time. Yep. So that's what's more fun about exploring in the harder difficulties, that wherever you go, you're going to find something you need every single time. So that's been much more enjoyable for me.
Do you die in one hit on Survivor?
Not entirely. Depends on what hits you.
Okay.
If you get shotgunned, it's pretty much a one hit.
Yeah, you're pretty much gone.
If you get hit by a gun, I think you're staggered immediately on Survivor. I think you can only take like 2 or 3 shots.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely pretty. There's one part towards the end where there's like an abandoned building you're going through, and it took me, I think, like an hour and a half to get through it. Which I also like. And Garrett, you'll know what section this is. There is some water that you can go prone in to kind of sneak through this building.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That was one of the hardest stealth sequences in the whole game.
Dude, that part rocked me.
Mm-hmm.
But I like
even on moderate, that part was hard for me.
Yeah, on Survivor, there are so many people in this building, and it's just very close quarters. When you first enter this building, they have the high ground and stuff. It's just a very hard part of the game. But on Survivor, I was just getting my teeth kicked in. So it's definitely a pretty challenging experience. That's why I'm very interested if they do like the grounded difficulty. That has to be like a one hit kill. That seems like the only like harder option, which that sounds insanely brutal. Like even tighter resources and dying in like a hit or two, and if they even make the AI like better at spotting you, like that is going to be an insane challenge.
One of the most helpful perks too for Survivor is I can't remember what it's called. There's one that when you're critically hit, it doesn't instantly kill you. It gives you a moment to escape. That's like the best perk you can use on Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
I have upgraded Ellie all the way. I have not upgraded the other playable character. I know pretty much everyone knows what we're talking about, but just in case there's a listener that has not played Last of Us that intends to or treading lightly. So I've upgraded all of Ellie, and I can definitely, like I said again, like everything on the harder difficulty is far more impactful and relevant. All the perks, weapon upgrades. So it's cool to have a loaded out character running around on New Game Plus, especially with all my gear, is really, really fun.
Did you know that you can do aerial attacks like in Uncharted 4?
I saw that. Yes, I found that out through. I think it was a GIF I saw actually. It was one of I can't remember that guy's name on Twitter that does those cool GIFs. But
yeah, you can jump, stab them while you're falling down. I also saw if you grapple an enemy, you can actually walk them into a clicker or whatever, and they'll eat them. Like there's so many things that I had no clue you could do. It's just that attention to detail. Like even the way somebody brought it up on Twitter, the way that this other character holds
a weapon.
Her weapon is just like so like accurate to the
like the
type
proper
of person,
way. Yeah,
exactly the type of person she is. Like they're just so like meticulous when it comes to the details. That it's just, you know, regardless of what you say about how you feel about the game, like I mean, you have to respect like the care that was put into like every little aspect, even like to their fingernails and stuff. It's just
like the dirt. Yeah, especially when it's raining and you see the water like running down their arms and stuff. Yeah. It's amazing.
It's nuts.
Speaking of
I do have to say, at the very end, there is an environment that you're in. There's two environments at the end. The very, very end, and then there's a part before the end, if you know what I'm talking about. I think that's the best looking area in a video game I've ever seen in my life.
It is stunning. And it makes sense too because it's so small. It's kind of like Kaer Morhen in The Witcher 3 because it's kind of contained so they can go all out graphically.
I literally just there's a part where you just sit there, and I just sat there and was just like, this is insane. Like this is next gen. This is what PS5 looks like right here. Like it's insane how good it looks.
Speaking of cool details, after I saw that same post about the hands or the details of the way they hold the weapon last night, and in game I went to photo mode to kind of look at some stuff myself that I hadn't looked at before, and they even like with their eyes will like either close one or squint as if they're looking down the sights if you're aiming. So it's like you would never notice that unless you went into photo mode to see that.
Yes,
but
somebody had Ellie looking at a mirror and zoomed in, and she like squinted her eyes to look in.
Yeah.
So cool.
I appreciated this so much. I found this out last night. So Dina, I boosted Dina up on a ledge, and you know they typically are like, okay, give me your hand so I can help you up. I was curious to see what she would do if I just like walked away. And naturally, when you're right below them, they put their hand out. Well, I walked backwards, and she like. The further I got away, she just like brought her hand up and like rested there until I came back, and then she put her hand back when I came back to her. I'm like, It's so awesome. Love stuff like that. But yeah, we'll talk about gameplay and details and stuff we love, and of course story and depth on our spoiler talk. But one thing I will say is, just until we get there, is the reason why I connected with the story so well, and I told you this last night, Preston, is that in my own way, not nearly as bloody and brutal as these people's experiences, but in my own way, I can wholeheartly relate to many of the emotions these characters experience. And I'll give an example when we have our spoiler cast. Now, it's very personal, so I won't give you like the all the details of the story that pertains to me, but it's one that's very applicable to this game. And when I'm seeing what some of these characters are going through, I'm like, I know exactly what they're feeling right now in my own way, and that's why I connected with it so deeply. And that's why I appreciate the storytelling so much. But I'm excited to talk about it in depth because there will be many, many things to discuss. I'm sure. So
yeah,
it'll be good.
Definitely.
But yeah, anything else you guys have been playing that you want to talk about before we jump into the news?
Not really.
No, I don't think so.
Cool, let's do it. Cyberpunk. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I have like 3 things to say. That's about it. It looks rad. So what do you guys have to say about Cyberpunk?
There's a lot. So they released their, I guess they're doing an episodic series about just talking about the game, and they're calling it Night City Wire. And I guess to make things easier, I sort of just, I watched the video. I think it was like a 20-minute video. And then I sort of, and after that, or right when that finished, a bunch of outlets released articles about their 4-hour play experiences, which was cool because I read like 4 or 5 of them, and they each gave their unique takes, and a lot of them share the same points, but a lot of them had different experiences because of like how they customized their character, or the quest that they decided to partake in, just stuff like that, honestly. But things that really stood out to me were just all the ways that you could customize your character, I think.
Jacob, before you continue, I need to say what or share Isaac's question, because I don't want to leave him out. It pertains to what
I
we're
forgot
saying.
about that.
It's all good. Isaac Clark wrote in and said, "Hey guys, quick questions. What are your guys' reactions to the Cyberpunk 2077 new trailer and media coverage? Do you think current gen consoles could handle its majestic graphics? If not, do you plan to upgrade your PC to run the game at the highest settings?"
In terms of upgrading my PC, no, I think my PC can handle it on its highest settings. We'll find out, I guess, but I'll definitely be playing it on PC. I think we're all in agreement on that. I think we've said that before. But sorry, what was the rest of the question? Let me look at it here. It was, do you think current gen consoles could handle its majestic graphics? I've heard rumors that that it kind of struggles on current gen consoles. I don't know where I heard that from. Maybe I just made it up in my head, but I feel like it.
I mean, from some of the stuff I was reading from the previews, it's struggling on high-end PCs right now with bugs and stuff. So I would imagine that. I mean, I would imagine it's going to be, not even close to as, good as a high-end PC, like fidelity-wise. But I mean, I'm assuming it's going to run. I mean,
I mean, hopefully they're going to be able to, make it so that your PC can run the game. I mean, as long as you have the minimum specs.
I mean, I guess the console-wise, I mean, it is mind-blowing that like an original OG Xbox, or I guess that's what original means, but an OG Xbox One is going to be able to play this game, which is just like mind-blowing. Probably in like, I don't know, like 480p at 30 FPS or something.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it'll run, but not look, as good, but it'll be there.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, some of the things that people were talking about were, like I was saying, all the ways that you can customize your character, whether you want to select your gender or what.
If you want like a giant schlong or not.
Yes, sure. Or like what sex you're into, or what augments you want your character to have. And what's also cool about that is that like you can't pick a class in the game, but instead you sort of like you have talent trees, and you sort of like pick things that you want your character to be good at, and you sort of specialize in those things. And on top of that, there's like different ways to play, like in terms of combat. Like there's guns, there's melee weapons, there's hacking, and there's stealth. Like there's just so many different ways to sort of, like unlike Witcher 3, where like in Witcher 3 you have like all these, you have a really compelling main narrative, and you have all these excellent story and side quests. But on top of that, in this game, like you're getting that, but you're also just getting different ways to play. And I think, and on top of that, customizing your character to really make it feel like you, or what you want to play as in this world, and how the world sort of, depending on like how you play or what you choose to do, sort of affects how the game progresses. And I think CD Projekt Red is always, after Witcher 3, I think we sort of expected that. So it's good to hear that people are sort of, like they're confirming our suspicions about whether that would be true or not.
So let's talk about that then, make it more interesting. How are you leaning so far? If you like had the game in your hands right now, just based on what we've seen, what faction do you think you're starting with, or how do you think your origin story is going to be? What play style do you think you'll lean towards just initially?
As far as I'm aware, I think from what they said, there were 3 different selections you could make in terms of what you wanted your backstory to be. I think one was like
you can be like an executive, you can be a street kid, you can grow up in the what do they call it, like the Badlands or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was another one, I don't remember what it was, but if I was to pick between those 2 that you said, probably like, I don't know, I haven't really thought about it.
I kind of want to be a street kid. It kind of reminds me of Jason Todd in Gotham. Like I want to be a kid who grew up on the streets of Night City. I think
Yeah.
the Badlands idea is cool. It's like an old country boy going into the big future city.
Yeah.
I'm a dirtbag. I think that's kind of
Like,
appealing too.
Yeah.
But I either want to be a Badlands guy or I want to be a street kid initially, I think would be cool.
I kind of like the idea of just going in guns blazing in this game. I just want to be a person that has a lot of machinery, a lot of firepower, and I just want to blow stuff up and just be a complete badass. I think that's sort of the route that I'll take. So maybe like being a high up executive, just having access to maybe a bunch of tools and I don't know,
I'll be playing
experiences that no one else does.
I'll be playing the exact opposite of
Yeah.
that way. I want
you would.
I want to talk my way out of like every situation and
Mhm.
put everything into like stealth based abilities for sure.
I'm gonna be a mix because I like that they say the progression is a I kind of call it fluid class system, so you can really mix and match a lot. I think depending on my mood, I'm like, oh, I might want to be stealthy here.
I know it kind of reminds me of Elder Scrolls, where I believe the more you actually use a weapon, the more like you become more familiar with it, the better the handling gets and stuff. So I'll probably just like find a weapon that I like and maybe stick with it, like a silenced weapon or something like that. But I think I definitely want to play this game like I played Deus Ex, by just trying to find out ways I can, sneak through every situation.
So here, let me read this little bullet point here. This talks about sort of the stats that are going to be in the game. So there's 5 stats. There's body, intelligence, reflexes, tech, and cool, which have multiple perk trees. Reflexes, for instance, governs V's critical hit chance and evasiveness, while a high cool score will improve their aptitude for stealth. A separate stat, street cred, indicates V's status in the Night City underworld, combining with your overall character level to unlock more missions and will allow better use of equipment. Augments alter V's body in unnatural ways, adding things like eyes that improve their aim or arms that can transform into rocket launchers. That sounds awesome. But yeah, it's just stuff like that. Like depending, like just what you want to pick, you can really like hone in on how you play the game, which I really think is cool. And this is going to be a huge game, obviously, if we have any indication to like how Witcher 3 was. And I'm sure it's just going to be just like that in terms of its length. But like just the fact that you can go back and just play this game so many different ways, I think is really exciting. Not that I would do that because that's a lot of game time, but I just think the idea of like the possibilities that are there is really cool.
For sure.
And then one last thing that I really wanted to touch on was the brain dance feature. Did you guys look into this at all or watch?
I read about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I read about it too.
So it's sort of like something that plays off the idea of something that you would see in like a detective game, but not really. Like I guess the idea is that you're sort of. So here, let me read this point. One of the fully realized inventions in Cyberpunk 2077 is brain dance, a technology invented shortly after the turn of the 20th century that becomes a pillar of life in the future. CD Projekt Red refers to it as the most popular form of entertainment in the game's world. It allows people to experience the memories and emotions of a recorded experience from someone else's point of view, but with the added benefit of being able to analyze it after the fact. So in the video they show, I guess you're like this guy is in the process of robbing someone, and he succeeds in robbing them. He tries to walk out, and then someone shoots him before he walks out. So you're sort of in the eyes of this guy that's robbing the store, and you see like the fear on other people's faces, and you can like just see what it would be like to actually do that. But at the same time, you can like jump to a camera in the room, I think, or you can like control the whole situation. You can pause time and you can just sort of analyze things, sort of like you would be able to do in like a detective game, or like say you were Batman and you were like using your scan and you were like trying to figure out what happened in this scene. Like I think there's a lot of cool possibilities in terms of like what they could do in terms of storytelling with that feature. And it's interesting to me like that they're saying this is the most popular form of entertainment in this game's world. Like people are just using this like it's like VR or something. Like they're using it to just experience things through other people's eyes. And I think that sounds cool to me. What are y'all's thoughts? If anything?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be implemented in cool ways throughout the game. Mm-hmm. So,
I thought it was interesting that that aspect of the demo that some press people played seemed a little divisive. I heard
Yeah.
somebody say that they just wanted to get that part over with. They weren't too interested in it, and I heard, other people say that they really just enjoy things like that in games where you can, be like a detective and fully like investigate and stuff like that. So I'm kind of in the middle. I am kind of indifferent about it. Like in the Batman section or those parts of Batman, I'm not the biggest fan of them, but
Mhm.
I don't hate or love them, especially if I'm like replaying the game. That's when I don't like it. It's like I just want to
Yeah.
get through this. I'm just trying to find the X prompts and stuff. So I'll be interested to see on multiple playthroughs if how this is gonna like if I'll like it or not, or if there's like an option to even skip it or anything like that. So
Mhm. Yeah. And then a couple more points I want to touch on. These are both from Ryan McCaffrey at IGN, his article. But he said, as you quickly come to see, Night City feels both alive and lived in, and its unique districts are just that, genuinely unique. That excites me. That there's nothing I like more than in a game than being a part of like a fully realized like world, and like just the idea of Night City with all the neon lights, all the interactions that people are going to be having, like all the crime that's probably happening around you. And I'm surely just all the side quests you're just going to stumble upon from driving through the city. That really excites me. And like, honestly, I just can't wait to sort of be a part of this world and see what happens. Like it's really thrilling to me.
Definitely. I'm sure there'd be some awesome scripted mainline quest and side quests, but I am very excited for the random encounters that are bound to occur in the world. That's always been my favorite aspect of any, especially open world RPG, notably with The Witcher 3, where the random encounters I mean, they're scripted, but they feel unscripted the way they you kind of stumble upon them.
Yeah.
So and you can choose whether or not you want to engage with them or not, which I think is really exciting. That just plays further into the role play aspect of either you can help this person out, or you can deal with the situation, or you can just turn the other way.
Yeah.
So that's what always makes me feel especially immersed, are those types of encounters.
Mm-hmm. And one more thing, Ryan gave a little piece of criticism here, and I wanted to make sure maybe we at least bring up one negative that someone had. But he says here, I can definitely say that in the build that I played, the inventory management was a bit clunky, and with some gear and upgrade screens, best described as annoyingly unintuitive. So too were some of the tutorials, though at least those were short-lived. And the driving controls didn't feel particularly good either, though I appreciated the option to drive from a third-person view. So those are just really minor things, honestly. But
I mean, it's definitely a 5 out of 10 as of right now, but they can probably get it to like a 6.5 or 7 if they fix that.
I mean,
so
sounds like
we'll
a
see.
CD Projekt Red. Even the Witcher 3 inventory system, I'm not a
big
of
fan.
at all.
And the horse
Yeah.
controls were awful in Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Well, not awful, but you know what I mean.
I
They're
don't
a
know.
little clunky.
I heard some other people say that the driving was fine. But I also think they played this via streaming over GeoForce
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
that
think
blows my
anybody-
mind.
Yeah, which that's very impressive. So maybe also the latency involved with that. I don't know if we should like 100% take the like shooting, driving like 100% as it is, because there definitely probably was some sort of latency because they were streaming the game. But
That's a fair point to make. Thank you
Yeah.
for clarifying that. But yeah, especially like because you can go out to the Badlands, which is, from what I've heard or what I've gathered, it's basically like the deserted area around Night City, which is cool. That it's sort of like a Mad Max kind of thing, but also like there's a city in the middle of it.
Kind of reminds me of the desert of Los Santos in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's what I was sort of thinking too. But yeah, if like that's on top of like poor driving, I could see like maneuvering around that area being sort of frustrating. So I hope the driving is good, because it seems like you're going to be in your car a lot. So I hope it's not too bad. I hope it's just like something that's so minor, like the driving, that it's not really that big of a deal. And I think driving from third person is definitely a good thing. Like anytime that I would drive in like say Forza in first person, like it would just give me a headache because I can't see anything. Like it's like I'm in an actual car. Like I don't want to feel like I'm in an actual car. I want to feel like I can see where I'm going and I can see the world around me. I guess it's sort of like playing a third person game. I like that perspective more than a first person, but more so with driving. But unless we have any other thoughts, boys, we can move on if you want, or if you have any closing thoughts on the game or what you liked. Now is the time.
I mean, I'm just incredibly pumped to play it. It's been a while since I've played a character I know it's been a while since I played a character creator RPG, and I was just playing Dragon Age. But it's been a while since like I've a game like that where I've wanted to like fully like try and make myself and like role play in that, you know, this type of world. I definitely feel like I'm gonna want to play it that way. So excited to do that. And I mean, it's CD Projekt Red, man. Like I love their stuff, so I'm just excited to see what you know, how this turns out.
Mm-hmm. Sam, it'd be interesting to see if they were overly ambitious to the point where it could really go one of a few ways. It could be so dense to the point where it's like you just can't even really grasp it all because there's just so much packed into it. Mm-hmm. Or overly ambitious to the point where it can't run well, or there's no really like main focus, like focus in on a story. I mean, maybe it's more about just being immersed in the world than it is the story. But that's what's cool about Witcher 3 in particular, is that's the most exposure I've had to CD Projekt Red, excuse me, is that on top of just a beautiful immersive world and an open world RPG to explore, you have a pretty strong story as well. So I'm interested to see what the narrative may be like in this world, aside from all the side content. But all I know is I'm going to make my guy as cybernetic as possible. I want it to be like a full-on robot by the end of it.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I'm excited.
I heard one hilarious side mission. I think it was Alana Pierce's video where she picked up a guy that had a penis enlargement surgery, and his penis caught on fire. So she had to take him to the hospital and dropped him off there. So nice. I'm hearing that. I'm definitely interested in you know, hearing what other side quests they have. If that's one of them, like who knows, you know, what else there's going to be.
I wonder what caused his penis cybernetic to catch on fire. Like
maybe like short circuit.
Bad install. I mean, it's probably a black market install.
Yeah.
You got to be careful with that stuff, man. It's an important piece.
For sure.
But yeah. Garrett, you want to move on to our next piece of news, or do you want me to go through it?
No, I mean, if we're moving on to the old anime here, I'll read Kyle's question and bring us in.
Okay.
Kyle Bohongeles writes in and says, guys. Garrett, you might want to hand this question off. About to go effing bananas. It's okay, Kyle. I'll censor it myself. Cyberpunk Nightwire, Brain Dance. Whoa! My hype is reignited and I'm a scream from the rooftops. But not only that, Cyberpunk anime by Trigger and directed by Hiroyuki Imashi. Forgive me of my pronunciations, as always. Mind behind Kill La Kill and Gurren Lagann. Haven't heard of them. And with a soundtrack composed by Akira Yamaoka, known for the Silent Hill OST, but did the Snatcher visual novel in the 90s with Kojima and Konami. This might be the thing that kills me, ends my feeble existence, and enlightens me to the weep afterlife. I need this tomorrow, but it's slotted to release on Netflix in 2022. Now that I'm done losing my crap, what's a game you guys think needs a high-budget studio behind to produce an anime? I know you guys aren't too fluent in this garbage, but what studio would you like to make it? Just saying the quote studio that made Attack on Titan making an Assassin's Creed game would work for me. I hope y'all are doing well and ready to plug in to Cyberpunk when it launches in November. I think I did a pretty good job censoring that. Since I know nothing about the people involved with the anime, but since you are so well versed in anime, I'm just going to trust that you being excited is a reason to be excited for the anime. So I'm sure it'll be awesome based on those who are involved.
Yeah, this was definitely something that surprised a lot of people. Cyberpunk Edgerunners, just to clarify, is a Cyberpunk anime coming in 2022, as Kyle was saying. It's going to be made with Studio Trigger, working as the animation studio. And just as you said, Garrett, Hiroyuki Imashi, the maker of, or I don't know I guess he sort of made these anime, but he's like the mind behind Kill la Kill, which is, it's an anime that I've heard around a few times, so, and I've heard good things about it too. So, you know, I think these people have a pretty good pedigree from what I hear, and a lot of people seem to be excited about this. So I think it's a good thing. The only bummer is that it's not coming until 2022. But it was definitely a cool surprise. I don't think anyone really expected this, and I'm definitely excited about it. I'm not like losing my crap like Kyle is, but I'll definitely watch it when it comes out. It's something that, especially if like I really enjoy this game, it would give me
2 years after it launches.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited about it. It looks cool. We didn't really see any footage. Like it's probably not even. We have no idea what stages they're in at all. I mean, it could just be an idea right now.
Concept phase, pre-production, storyboards, maybe. Yeah, it's cool that it exists. How do you feel about it, Preston?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Some anime that I'm sure will be cool.
Oh, I thought we were talking about a game. Yeah. I'll watch it. Aren't they making a Witcher anime as well?
I don't know.
Not sure.
I swear I read that.
I do not know about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
Nice. The Last of Us sold 4 million copies in the first 3 days. It's pretty amazing.
It's a lot of copies.
It's a lot of copies.
Yes, there is a Witcher anime coming. I was correct.
Really?
It's coming to Netflix. Yep. I guess CD Projekt Red likes anime.
Nice. I hope it's up to par with like that of Castlevania. I know that Castlevania isn't necessarily an anime, but is this a Witcher anime or just a Witcher animated show?
No, it's an anime.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Witcher anime movie officially set at Netflix. It's called Nightmare of the Wolf.
Oh, is this the same people involved with the live action series as well, or just affiliated with them in some way? I feel like I heard that on a podcast at one point. I can't remember.
I know it's a prequel. It's like, long before Geralt's even born. I think it's just about Vesemir. That's kind of cool.
Cool.
Old man Vesemir. No one wants to see more of him. He's so useless.
It was sorry. She's okay. The showrunner is supervising the project. Meanwhile, the studio behind it is famous for the animation of Legend of Korra, and
is that the Nickelodeon show?
Yeah, that was the sequel to Avatar. Okay, I mean that show looks good. I was just on here talking about how that show has good animation. So
nice.
All right, sorry to derail the next
No, that's quite all right. More anime to look forward to. Marvel's Avenger War Table. I guess this is just the Marvel stuff. I'm going to be honest, man. I think this game looks pretty exceptionally mediocre right now.
What?
Yeah. I think
wow.
See, after watching this, I was more impressed by the game.
Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely playing it, but I don't know how long it'll keep me engaged.
Hey, didn't we skip The Last of Us sells 4 million copies?
I mentioned that while you're looking up the Witcher thing.
Oh, okay.
Unless there's something else you wanted to say about it.
Do we have thoughts on that? I mean,
it's the fastest selling PS4 exclusive, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I was surprised that it beat out Spider-Man because I was certain like nothing would outpace Spider-Man. But I guess it makes sense because Last of Us is a sequel that many people are anticipating. Whether or not they have enjoyed the direction they've taken with the sequel, I think it's fair to say that many people were looking forward to getting their hands on it.
Yeah.
So I think the fastest selling is surprising to me, but it does not surprise me that it sold that many copies. Definitely. And what's funny is that is a lot, and that's a huge achievement. But then I was blown away in reading about Nintendo. That's later in our notes that Animal Crossing has sold over 13.4 million copies. That is insane. Yeah. Holy crap, dude! Absolutely amazing.
How that game's been out for several months, right?
Yeah, and it really hit a stride too when the pandemic first hit, because so many people wanted something joyful to just jump into and mindlessly play.
Yeah, people couldn't find Switches to play it.
Yeah, that really gave the game a boost. Dude, talk about supply and demand. Nintendo's
they're awful.
They're working it, man. They're working it.
They never have the supply to meet their demands.
Do you think with everything coming out about like The Last of Us, the user scores and stuff, like, that this 4 million was in the first 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's what it is. Do you think all the discussion is going to um, put like a spike in the sales, or do you think it'll continue to just sell?
I don't. It's hard to say because I mean, there's like the two different worlds. There are those who are heavily invested in the gaming industry, gaming news, gaming culture, whereas your uncle,
Yeah.
for example, who is an avid video game player, does not keep up to date with any of that. So there may be people like him who have every intention of picking up the game and are
Yeah.
totally unaware of the discussion surrounding it.
Mhm.
But there are also the people like us that, for example, may have watched a portion of the game and may be judging whether they want to play it based off something they've seen. Because I've certainly encountered those people, even in real life before, that have said, I don't buy a game until I've seen like a decent chunk of it, which I think is kind of odd. But I understand why people want to be careful with the money they spend. And this is just Last of Us aside. If someone's like, I want to see a healthy portion of a video game before if I know I want to play it, I'm very different. If I know even just based on a trailer or a small demo whether or not I'm going to be interested, especially the developer behind it and how much information I know about the game. But there are people that may look at The Last of Us for a few hours before they decide whether or not they want to pick it up. And like you asked, I mean, the discussion surrounding it, especially based on who they're watching play it, may determine whether or not they pick it up.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. It'll be interesting to see what the next few weeks, next month looks like for sales, if they even give an update on that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the other, like, people wanting to see more gameplay is probably more of the common opinion. Like, I'm sure more people would rather see someone actually play the game and like what it's like than rather just watch a trailer and go buy it. Like, I think, and whether they watch gameplay or not, maybe at the very least or maybe not even that. Like, maybe just like if they played the first one and they enjoyed it enough, like that's enough for people to go pick up the second one. And maybe, they've seen the advertisement, all that yada yada, and maybe that's enough. And maybe that's why that it has sold 4 million copies this far, because of just the name alone and how renowned and how many people just generally love the first game. That's what I would take away from this.
Yeah, I will say if anyone watched me play it, they'd be bored out of their minds because I play so conservatively unless I end up in a dire situation and I have no choice to go guns blazing. So I'm a very conservative player when it comes to combat and stealth, and I also scavenge areas to the point where you would watch me explore one house for 20 minutes sometimes, I swear.
Yeah.
That's why it took me over 30 hours to beat the game, which was totally worth it. But on the other hand, there are people like Stealth Gamer that will make Ellie look like John Wick, and it's insane.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's who you want to watch play the game, because that's what the game can be. And that's what's kind of cool, is that there's a variety of ways to experience the game. So yeah, that's why I definitely would not stream or create video content aside from what I've done.
I think, not that I stream anyways, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but like I can't imagine streaming this game. This just doesn't seem like a stream game to me. It's just like a very like.
Well, it's not. It's definitely not.
It just seems just like a very like I've just had my just thoughts to myself and stuff, just thinking about what's going on, and I think that like looking over and just seeing a chat log going through and stuff, I think just completely kills the mood for something like this.
Like, even in my passive streaming, I couldn't imagine streaming this game. Like, I could, but I would also know that I wouldn't get as much out of it if I was trying to stream, because a big part of streaming obviously is communicating with the people that are there watching you. And if you're doing that, you're also not focusing on what's happening on the screen. Or if you are, you're not doing anything. You're staying there talking while the chat's just staring at you, not doing anything. So
yeah,
I think it's hard to sort of stream a game like that. I agree, but I'm not saying it can't be done. There's some talented people out there, but
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm purely talking, myself.
Just for your case, yeah.
But that's pretty much with any game. I don't want to stream anything, but especially this one.
That's fun. What were we talking about? It's 4 million copies. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just selling. I would imagine they will continue to sell, and I think especially once the PS5's out and stuff, and either they like push forward a PS5 update or like put out a new version of it, like if they're doing DLC or something, and have like a Last of Us / blank edition or whatever for PS5 enhanced and stuff, then that might get like another resurgence of people that, didn't pick it up on PS4 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder if they probably wouldn't combine those sales though, right? Like they would, or well, I guess if it's just going to be transferred over, maybe.
I don't know.
Because I guess in the PS4's case, they made like a remastered version, so it was different.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I think when I hear people talk about numbers with The Last of Us, they include. I think they combined them because I guess why not? It's the same game.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
Was there a photo mode in the original? Like the PS3
I think
version?
there may have been in the remaster version. I don't think there was in the original.
It was in the remaster. I can confirm that, but I never played the PS3 version.
I don't remember. I can't
That's-
remember if that was before the photo mode craze took off or not. I think that took off with this generation.
I think so too.
Yeah, I don't think it was on PS3.
I'm trying to remember what the first game was that had like a good photo mode. It was one of those.
Horizon has a great photo mode.
I think it was Infamous Second Son was the first one I remembered having like a really cool photo mode.
I never played that game. I always think about like how I should have played that game.
It's fun. It's a good time.
It's
the DLC is really good too. Speaking of Laura Bailey.
Laura Bailey, yeah.
Yeah, dude, somebody made a good point is she started this generation playing a character in Seattle, and she ended it playing a character in Seattle.
Yeah. So. Dude, speaking of Laura Bailey, when you guys go back and listen to Kind of Funny spoiler cast with Neil Druckmann, Ashley Johnson, and Troy Baker, which is such a beautiful podcast. I enjoyed it so much.
Wait, they have all those people on their podcast?
Yeah.
What?
It's incredible. It's an amazing conversation.
I've sort of like
the story they tell about casting Laura Bailey in Last of Us is both fascinating and hilarious. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
So highly recommend listening to that once you beat the game.
I know they're about to put out a podcast just with Laura Bailey as well.
I'm so excited for that, dude. Holy crap, because I have so much to say about her character. Man.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah. I could talk about Last of Us for hours, dude. I'm so excited to do the spoiler talk with you guys. Mm-hmm. Marvel's Avengers. So I didn't mean to sound as harsh as I did initially. I was mostly joking, but it doesn't look as mind-blowing as I hoped it would look. Mm-hmm. But it does look like it could be fun, especially playing with friends if you build out your particular hero you want to play as. Yeah. You guys know I hate robots in games. I don't know why I've always hated fighting robots, especially in superhero games. Like, get these robots out of here. Like, I think there weren't there robotic enemies for like a brief moment in Spider-Man PS4? I can't remember. Maybe there wasn't.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
You guys played a lot more than I did.
You fought those Silver Sables people. They were like kind of mechanized with armor.
And any robots in games I've always hated. So I'm like, I get it. It's an Avengers game. You need like a mindless army you can destroy.
Right. It's easy to create.
I want to watch Hulk
hordes.
ripping people's arms
people
off.
in half. Yes, it has to be robots for the most part. But
would it be better if they use like aliens or humans? Like, is that what you want? Like,
no, I mean,
it's
whatever. It's whatever. I've always just had to hang up with fighting robots. I think it's boring for some reason, but
I get that. Like, I was literally thinking the same thing watching it. I was like, so the only reason like this works is because there's just hordes of robots that you can just destroy and be absolutely brutal with.
About the game, though, I think all the potential is there. Like, the ideas they have in place, I think, are very strong with the RPG elements and ranking up your hero, customizing your hero, not only just their appearance, but their abilities and how you kind of make them your own, and the big waves of enemies you can fight with each other. It begs the question, how long is that sustainable if you're just mindlessly fighting enemies over and over and over again as these heroes? Yeah. What objectives makes these gigantic combat encounters interesting over and over and over again? Whereas Destiny, you're on different planets, you're fighting different factions of enemies. I guess mostly the locales, but there's also more to it than just shoot the aliens. Like, for example, the raids have all these objectives that kind of like break up the traditional mechanics and make it fresh. So what can they do in a superhero Avengers co-op action game that makes each experience at least somewhat unique to the other, you know?
They mentioned that they want to do like collectibles, like hero skins. And there's like a really in-depth talent tree, which I'm sure you saw if you read an article or watched the video. I think there are ways that they're trying to encourage not only just co-op with other people, but also just replayability. And I don't really know if they're going to have anything akin to like a Destiny raid. I don't think so, if I had to guess.
I feel like this
But,
game begs for that, dude. You imagine using
Yeah.
the Avengers to take down like a Thanos raid boss or something? How sick would that be?
Yeah, it would be awesome. Like I think like maybe they could potentially like make story missions that were made to like that were designed like that, where you needed like what if some of their co-op missions were like raids without actually being a raid, like called a raid. Like you needed your best 4 other players, you need your full Avengers party. You guys need to be geared, accordingly to make sure you can kill the enemies in a sufficient way, and like you sort of like progress through a dungeon-like setting. Like I could see something like that happening, but I just don't know. Like there are some cool things that they talked about, like the hero missions where you play as a specific character, and like they sort of like delve into like story moments and just like things that you would think that character would do, or just like moments that really make that character shine. I think that was a cool thing. But in terms of like what you're talking about, I don't really know if like that's a good point. Like I don't know how long of legs this game's going to have in terms of like comparing it to something like Destiny, because oftentimes what I found myself doing was I kept comparing it to Destiny, not only because of the gear and like the talents and stuff, but also like this. Like anytime that I would play Destiny, I would think of like the super abilities and how much they reminded me of like superheroes. And now here we are, superheroes are reminding me of like things that happen in Destiny with the supers. It's like it's reversed on itself now. And like when I saw the Thor gameplay, I was like, this is really cool. Like I've always wanted to fly around with Thor's hammer. I forgot what it's called.
Mjolnir.
Yeah, Mjolnir. Thank you.
I wonder if you can equip his axe. I can't remember the axe name from Avengers, but I wonder if you can equip that at some point.
Yeah, that would be cool. Like a legendary weapon or something.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, like I think the gameplay looks really solid. Like it looked a little framey, and I don't know if that's because it's still in development or if there was a problem with the streaming or whatever. But at moments during that presentation, it looked really bad in terms of like just how it looked on the screen. So I hope that's not the case. There is a lot of stuff going on, so I do fear that there's too much particle effects or just stuff going on in the game, especially with. If you have like 4 different, I don't know what the party sizes are, but if you have all those people all doing just a bunch of lighting effects on the screen, like I hope the game doesn't suffer because of that. But I do think it's cool. Like each hero is so customizable, and I just think there's a lot of room to have fun there. And I think if you just have like a Saturday night with a bunch of friends and you all had this game and you all jump in, I can't see it being anything but a really fun time. Like, especially if like the game just comes out and, everyone hasn't seen anything yet. Like, I just think it'll be fun. But like you were saying, I don't know how long it's going to be fun. But I'm sure they have like plans for DLC, new heroes. You got to imagine. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
That's the thing too about awards in the game, whether it's cosmetic or experience to get that next talent you're trying to unlock. Like the journey to earning those rewards needs to be engaging beyond just a few hours. And that's the thing about games like this, dude. I've always loved the ideas in them, and Destiny included, but even Destiny could only keep me engaged for so long. I mean, the original Destiny, when we were all playing together, I really enjoyed, but Destiny 2, man, I fell off pretty early. There's just something about those games that just doesn't keep me locked in for very long. I don't know why. But I do love the Avengers. I love the idea, so I'm not going to knock it before I actually play it. I'm definitely going to play it. But just based on what I've seen so far, it hasn't blown my mind. But naturally, like I need to play it before I like make a final decision about that.
Well, I think a big thing with these kind of games, including Destiny, is that they are meant to be played with other people. And if I'm not saying you aren't playing with other people, but if you are not playing with other people, it really takes away from it, I think, because personally, I think that's why these games they're designed around playing with other people. That's what they are. Not to say that you can't play them solo, but I just don't think it's as good. Like these games are meant to be played with other people, and they're just funner.
For sure.
Like I think just having a bunch of AI with you is just kind of like it's cool. Like they're still there with you. You're still the Avengers, but like for instance in WoW, like as soon as I started raiding again, like this last month, I've started having a lot of fun in the game. Not that I wasn't before. Like I was just collecting stuff and doing like completionist content. But like now that I'm raiding, like I'm having even more fun now.
Nice. Preston, how you feeling about all this Avengers stuff?
I kind of feel the same way you feel about it. I think it has potential to be cool, but honestly, from what I saw, it really didn't tickle my fancy too
Mhm.
much. It just kind of looked a little, and this is probably meaner than I'm meaning it to be, but just like a little like movie tie-in-y, generic
It kind of does feel that way. Yeah.
So I know Crystal Dynamics is a very competent, good developer. Like I love Rise of the Tomb Raider and Tomb Raider Reboot. I think those are great games.
Very different from this, though.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll say this: like, it's not fair to knock a developer based on what they've developed prior to whatever they're working on. Because I think the best example we can relate it to currently is Guerrilla jumping from Killzone to Horizon. Similar in some ways, like style, but like totally different gameplay experiences and story. And they've succeeded in like transitioning that way. So it's fair to say that Crystal Dynamics could do the same thing.
Yeah.
But it is quite a departure from Tomb Raider, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope it's a great game because I think the idea of it, like the Destiny like aspect of it, I think has potential to be really cool with this, with the Avengers IP and stuff. So definitely hope it's cool. But if it's not, I'm not gonna like be upset because I'm not necessarily like looking forward to it per se. So.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'll tell you this much: if it's poorly written, like I will make sure the whole world knows that I feel that way, and I will boycott it and submit as many negative. I will create accounts to submit as many negative user scores on Metacritic that I can, so that everyone knows to avoid it.
Oh, God.
I'll counteract that.
Just so we're clear,
with giving it 10s.
You're doing the internet a service.
You shill. You know what? Another thing that doesn't appeal to me too much is the art direction. You can tell they're going for like, oh, we want this to look realistic and grounded to an extent. But we already have these live action Avengers films that are somewhat stylized, but these are human beings we're looking at. So I think it'd have been interesting if they took a more stylized art direction with the game. It might be a little more visually appealing to me as well. Because it's so reminiscent of the Avengers we already have on screen that I almost wish it was more, not necessarily like cartoony, but a little more stylized. Like maybe even cartoony. Like if it looked kind of more like Overwatch, for example, or because even like live act, like PS4 Spider-Man, I love. It's gorgeous. That works. But I'm always open to a more creative art style. So I think it'd have been interesting if they took that approach instead.
Yeah.
That's just me, though.
The biggest thing that I worry about with this game is like, how do they make gearing and like all the customization compelling to like the player? Because I feel like all the gear that they showed were just like stat enhancements. Like when I think of gear, I think of like customizing how your character looks and also how powerful they are. Mm-hmm. Like sure, you're going to be getting in the stats, but like maybe the gear changes how your Iron Man glove looks, like for example. But I didn't really see that from the trailer, and I worry that like just getting bigger numbers when you do damage isn't really enough to keep people playing. If like on top of that, even if like the experiences that you're repeating over and over, assuming it's like Destiny every week, is not compelling enough to keep you playing. Like I don't know. I think this game has a tough hill to climb.
Oh yeah,
just from what we know now. But it has potential. I think, especially with like new Avengers coming. Like the idea of like them having like a big event where, Spider-Man is released in the game, and, there's like even if they had like a little mini like storyline to go with it, and like that ties into the overall bigger story in the game that they're telling, I think could be really cool. But one last thing I wanted to mention was the villain that's going to be in the game is MODOK, I think his name, or Mordok. And he's like a pretty big character in the Avengers, Marvelverse, whatever you want to call it. Do you guys have any thoughts on him? Do you like him?
I don't know anything
Marvel
about him.
Fans that know about him?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. I mean, he just seems like a guy that is trying to,
bring some robots to town and destroy stuff.
Yeah.
And we're gonna deal with them.
Through watching,
I'm gonna deal
the
with them in
trailer,
my neon pink Iron Man suit.
There you go. Through the trailer, it seemed like he was sort of using this, like he was the mind behind the downfall of the Avengers. Like he set up them for their plane to crash or whatever happened. I don't even remember what happened in the reveal trailer, but apparently he set it all up, and like his corporation overtakes the old Avengers Tower, which I thought was cool. So, and another thing that's cool is that you're like customizing your Hell carrier, the Avengers thing. So like as you progress through the game, you're like upgrading it and like you're seeing it change visually. So I thought that was cool too. But I think we've said pretty much all we need to say here.
I'd say so.
For sure.
I think we're in agreement with that. We're all going to get it, but we're not confident that we'll play it for that long, I guess.
Yeah. This may be one of those games that I do wait for reviews as well. I don't always do that, but I may need a few more opinions before I decide I'm going to jump in. Nintendo moving away from mobile games, based on the success, of course, primarily of Animal Crossing, I guess the mixed reception and engagement with their mobile titles. I never dabbled in anything but Mario Run, which I enjoyed for about an hour. But I like to see that Nintendo is focusing what they've always done best, which is console gaming. So, yeah, that's great. How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, my personal opinion on their mobile games is they were too mobile-y. They tried to make them like a persistent like games as a service, like typical mobile type game. Like Animal Crossing Pocket Camp had so much potential if you just put like a bite-sized Animal Crossing game on the phone, but they had to make it, not that. They, made a mobile game out of it. And I don't know if people really dig that. That's why I actually think Mario Run's a good game, because it's just a Mario game that takes advantage of touch controls. So I wish they would have done that more with, their other IPs. I've yet to play the Mario Kart one. I actually heard from a few people that it wasn't that bad, but I did hear there was like some shady stuff with having to like pay a pretty large sum of money to unlock other characters, and like there wasn't even online play or anything at launch and stuff. So I don't know.
I think they might have limited your like the times that you could play too, or like race even. Like, and that's what I don't understand. Like I wanted to bring that point up too. Is that like why didn't Nintendo just release a Nintendo game on the phone? Like it seemed like they were always trying to, do these little niche mobile market game things that they do, or that mobile games do, and like that's not Nintendo to me. Like I liked Mario Run for the same reasons. Like I didn't play it very long, but I tried it and it was fun. But they did that, and they also didn't see very much success from it. Like people just didn't play it. So like you could argue that market of people playing that game didn't want that. Like they didn't want to pay the $10 to play the mobile Mario game. So like, is that like a perception problem, or is it just people didn't want that? Like they wanted a more traditional mobile game, or is that what people are conditioned to play on their phones from like other games that are just shoving microtransactions down your throat, or all these stupid gimmicks to compel you to pay more money when a game is, listed as free, but really to get the most out of it or to keep playing the game, you have to spend money. So like I'm with you. I wish Nintendo would have released like can you imagine a Pokemon game, like a fully realized Pokemon game on your phone, and you could just take it anywhere you go? Like that would be so cool to me. Like I would love that. But they just never did it. And I mean, I don't know why. I don't think we'll
it's
ever
called
know
a Game Boy emulator.
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't. I never tried that. I think we talked about. I think you tried it actually, Preston, and or maybe you didn't. I don't know.
What
or maybe
game?
It was on the computer.
What game?
I feel like we've had this discussion before, like playing Pokemon games not on a Nintendo console.
Yeah. I played Pokemon Red on my iPhone or iPod Touch back in high school during class a lot.
Oh, that's awesome. I used to take my Game Boy SD, I think it was called, the flip one.
SP.
And SP, thank you. And I would just take it to class and play it. It was awesome.
Good
my teacher
times.
didn't care. But yeah. Not surprising that Nintendo's sort of moving away from this stuff. They haven't seen a lot of success, I don't think.
Or maybe just not as much as they'd like, so it's just not even worth it. Because
And
I do think their Fire Emblem game did really well.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Financially.
It was popular.
Yeah.
And I would assume they're still supporting it, but I don't know.
I guess, but yeah, at the end of the day, I don't care. So
What's next, Garrett?
Let's see. Diablo 4.
Oh.
It's all yours, Jacob.
So basically every quarter of the year, the Diablo team sends out a little dev update, and I get these emailed to me. So I just thought it was something cool and exciting, and I'm really excited for Diablo 4, even though we don't know a whole lot about it at this point. It's definitely one of those games that's on my radar, and I loved 3, and I miss 2 a lot. I played 2 a little bit growing up, and I really enjoyed 3, and it's DLC, so I want to see this game succeed. But a couple things that stood out to me, I'm just going to read a couple bullet points here that I picked out from what they said, and the first one being, one of the main new features we are bringing to the Diablo series is the open world of Sanctuary. So while you can concentrate on the story campaign and work throughout that, we have a variety of open world systems and pieces of content that you're able to also discover along the way. I thought that was cool, and as you're doing that, you can also PvP people if they opt into it. So that's a cool thing, because there wasn't any PvP in Diablo 3. And I think they actually promised that they were going to put it in, and then they just never did. So, and then they sort of go into camps as a feature, and the idea behind camps is these are locations of importance that have been overrun by enemies, which once cleansed turn into a friendly outpost with NPCs and a waypoint location. While there is a backstory to each camp, most of the storytelling is visual, and quests don't directly send you to them. So when I thought of these, I sort of thought they're just sort of encampments that you would see in Far Cry or something like that, where you clear out all the enemies, you capture the outpost, and you can sort of fast travel there maybe, or just use it as a point to sell supplies, gear you don't want, that sort of thing. So I thought that was cool. It's a new feature for Diablo, and I think it really makes the world feel a little more alive, which is always good for a RPG, I think. Then I think they talk a little bit here about multiplayer, and their goal is to incorporate elements from shared world games without the game ever feeling like it's veering into massively multiplayer territory. So I think their PvP, I don't have a whole lot of experience with Diablo PvP, but it's never been on a large scale. I think it's only ever been maybe duels, 1v1, or maybe just I actually don't know at all. So maybe if someone in the comments or of YouTube or even on Discord, if you could let us know, what is the PvP from Diablo 2 like? And what do you guys want from PvP in Diablo? Because when I think of Diablo, I don't really think of PvP. That's not really that compelling to me. I'm more so in it for gearing of my character, getting legendary pieces of gear that create cool sets, and the sets themselves have cool abilities that enhance my gameplay. I think that's what really compels me to play Diablo, with a lot of other people too. And one last point here was the Diablo 4 was very fun to play. And this is from the developers that are saying this. The classes especially are going down a promising path that we're excited about. We're taking cues from what makes the Barbarian Arsenal system or the Druid's shapeshifting feel special, and looking for ways to apply similar innovations to all classes. And more on this in future updates. So that's how they ended it. That's really exciting to me, because I fully intend on playing a Barbarian at launch. That's the class that I feel like I most identify with. I like the idea of just being a big hulking brute and just swinging, a couple weapons around like a madman, and doing a bunch of whirlwind attacks like a Barbarian does. And that's just really exciting to me. So unless another class is announced that somehow beats that out for me, I think that's the path that I'm going to go down. And I'm just really excited to see what they announce as the months and years progress, because like I said, this is a game that's on my radar, and I'm excited. Garrett, do you have any thoughts at all about Diablo 4, knowing this new info?
I think it sounds really cool. I'm excited to see more of it in action. I mean, just the glimpse we saw, BlizzCon 2 years ago?
It was last year.
Yeah, so
this last November.
I think it looks great, so I'm excited to see more. Probably still quite a ways out, but
yeah, probably
exciting
like
nonetheless.
2022.
So
yeah, I'm excited. Next story here is just a minor one. It's Crash 4. Crash 4, It's About Time.
Looks outstanding.
It does, doesn't it? I enjoyed the trailer. I enjoyed the song that they chose for the trailer. Yeah, it looks fun. It's not something I'm gonna play. I'm not a Crash fan, but it looks like it would be fun for an evening. You know, just fooling around, being Crash, doing Crash things. Not too much more for me to say about that. Do you have anything to add?
No, I just think it looks really good. I've never actually played a Crash game beyond the first one, and I've only ever played the very beginning of the first one. And I experienced that again in Uncharted 4.
Oh yeah,
but I think I'd like to pick this one up. I think it just looks really fun. Yeah, it's beautiful, and I love a good challenging platformer. So this is one I intend on picking up for sure.
Yeah, it sort of like gives me that same feeling that maybe Ratchet and Clank does.
Right, exactly. So it looks like really good.
Just dumb, stupid fun. And then our last story today is Ghost of Tsushima has gone gold, Garrett.
Yes, sir.
Let me pull up this article.
Stoked, dude.
So basically, the dev wrote on Twitter that they were excited to announce that Ghost of Tsushima has gone gold. This is the culmination of years of hard work from our team, and we can't not wait to get it into your hands July 17th. So we got that coming up here. I'm definitely excited about the game. It looks like a lot of fun. I believe I said this in a past episode, but this game just looks so compelling to me in terms of its world and like how you sort of traverse it without there being any waypoints in the game. I think it's really going to make it more immersive, and I'm excited to just run around in a world like this because it's just so different from anything that I've really ever played.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
And I think the combat has really high potential to be compelling, sort of on the same scale as maybe a Sekiro, but not the same, obviously. But yeah, that's another little thing that happened this week.
Yeah, but that's right around the corner too. What's the exact date again?
July 17th.
17th. That's really close. That's awesome.
Which I think this last Friday was 3 weeks away. So this week it'll be 2 weeks away.
Cool.
So I better finish up Last of Us because I got this game coming up too.
I hope this game is as awesome as Last of Us at least has been for me, because Sony's they've been coming out swinging tail end of the generation here. not surprising, but it's great. Well, I'd say gentlemen, but Preston's missing in action. So Jacob, it's time to move on to AskIOG. AskIOG is the part of the show where we answer your questions submitted through any of our socials at ItsObviousGaming, the AskIOG section of our Discord channel, or emailed to us at ItsObviousGaming@gmail.com. And if you'd like your questions read live on the show, always include the hashtag AskIOG. All that being said, Slim Jim Stem writes in and says, "All right, fellas, my wife and I have been having some comical conversations with friends with this question we came across. Want to throw it your way for your interpretation and answer. Would you rather take on 100 duck-sized horses or 10 horse-sized ducks?" I'm going to go with 100 duck-sized horses because I think either way, these ducks, if they have the intent to kill, either group will inevitably kill me, but I can hold my own longer against 100 duck-sized horses versus 10 horse-sized. Yeah, 10 horse-sized ducks, dude? Are you kidding me? Those things will massacre you with their beaks.
What if they still... Yeah, I guess you're right, but like that's 100 horse-sized ducks. Like, what if they just surround you? Like, can you get out of that? Like, can you just like?
It'd probably be similar to what are those dinosaurs called in the Lost World that are like little pixie-like dinosaurs that swarm you and eat you alive?
Yeah.
I mean, horses aren't carnivores, but let's say these horses are bloodthirsty for man flesh. They're going to be chomping at the bit. So yeah, you can just swing like a wild animal against 100 duck-sized horses and take out factions of them, squadrons of them at a time. Especially if you have a melee weapon. Like if I had a machete or like a baseball bat or something of the sort, you can just swing wildly and take out dozens at a time.
So I think we should think about this like 10 horse-sized ducks. So ducks, I feel like, are less. They have the potential to be less harmful than a horse. First of all, and second of all, haven't you ever wanted to ride a duck? Because this is a great opportunity to ride a duck. A
The
horse-sized
thought has
duck is
never
the perfect
crossed
size.
my mind, but I would certainly give it a shot if it could carry me, being horse-sized.
Right. It kind of reminds me of a chocobo from Final Fantasy. Sort of that
Exactly.
same idea.
Yeah.
So maybe I would go 10 horse-sized ducks. I just feel like ducks are a little less threatening. Not that horses are, if you don't provoke them. So, Presto, what's your answer to this question? Are you caught up here? 10 horse-sized ducks.
I know,
or
I'm reading
100
it.
duck-sized horses.
Probably like 100 duck-sized horses. I'd rather just see a bunch of little tiny horses running around than
Yeah, it's like baby
10
horses.
monster ducks.
Mm-hmm. That's what I
So,
said.
It'd be great if someone could like draw this out for us. Like, I want to see what a horse-sized duck would look like.
I'm
You'd have to
surprised
draw it in
people
comparison
are
to a
still
human being.
asking this question. This is like, I've seen this question since like middle school.
I've never
I
seen
have
this
heard it,
question.
but I've heard it, but I've never answered it myself. So, yeah. Slim Jim, man, thanks for writing in. I'd like to know your answer as well, because you pitched us the question, but we don't know your answer. Euethical Shuffle writes in and says, I've never actually seen this name before. Oh, it's Ace of Spades. That's why. What up, spicy boys? It's Ace of Spades from the grave. Been caught up on you guys even when I'm not chatting, but recently just built my PC. Been doing
Congrats.
live streams, playing all kinds of games, so this came into mind. What was it like acquiring your PCs? What was the first thing you did when you got those beefy machines? How was the first time feeling frames and almost maximum graphical fidelity at no limits? What was it like for all of you to do stream for the first time on PC? What were your feelings? Excitement? Orgasmic, godly, and compared to them, how do you feel now about the PC life? Love you guys. Stay beautiful, sexy, and spicy as always. Thank you for writing in again, Ace. That's a lot to answer in regard to a PC. I had PC experience prior to like the PC I have now, like when I was much younger. Granted, I wasn't playing like highly graphically impressive games. I was primarily playing Halo, notably, on PC, Halo 1. So I'd had PC experience before, but in gaining or acquiring this PC, it is cool to play. I still don't play games at their highest graphical settings. I play at 2K. But having the higher frame rates is wonderful. I think the first thing I played was PUBG on PC when I first picked it up because it was very prevalent at the time. So I will always appreciate the uncapped frame rates and, of course, the higher graphical fidelity and being able to manipulate settings to your liking on PC. I still prefer to play as much on PC as I can for those reasons. So anything on Xbox going forward, I know we've said this, I'll be playing on PC, but in a perfect world, I could play every PS4 exclusive on PC as well. But streaming was cool. It's not for me. It's nothing I've ever really like wanted to pursue, and still don't. But it was fun for a little while we were doing it consistently for me. So that's all I have to say. What about you guys?
Yeah, the first game that I ever played with like a really high frame rate was Wolfenstein, the New Colossus, I think.
I get all those titles mixed up now.
Yeah, it was the
New
newest
Blood,
one.
New Colossus.
Yeah. Because I picked up my PC and I had like a crappy 1080p 60 hertz monitor that I just grabbed from Best Buy. So the highest, frame rate I was seeing was 60, and then I went and got a 4K 60 hertz monitor, so still stuck at 60, and I honestly just didn't think there was that much difference until I went to my uncle's house, and he had a 1440p 140 hertz monitor and booted up New Colossus, and I played that at 140 FPS, and I was like, holy crap, like this is so different, like this is crazy fast. So I know that Christmas I bought a high refresh rate monitor, and I think the first game I played on it, like new release, was Resident Evil 2 remake, I think, and played that at 140 something frames the entire time, and it was just just a really cool experience taking the jump from 60 to that. So yeah, definitely a cool experience, especially being a even when we started this podcast, we we're all pretty big console gamers, and we were just so accustomed to 30 FPS with the occasional 60, and then just like going to everything 60, and then going to now everything I play is like 100 plus frames. Just kind of stepping up from there. It's definitely was a cool experience for sure.
We've evolved, is what you're saying.
Yes, we've transcended.
Yes. For me personally, I literally built my PC because I wanted to play Overwatch on PC, and I don't even have it downloaded. I can't remember the last time I played Overwatch, but that is literally why I built my PC, was because I thought that I was just so dead set on being good at Overwatch, and I wanted to play on the place where most people play, which is on PC. So that's why I built my PC, but little did I know that would sort of evolve into me just wanting to play everything on PC. I sort of like had this idea that I would play almost everything else on PS4 besides like shooter games, but that didn't happen to be the case at all. I barely turn on my PS4 at all anymore unless it's for an exclusive. So it's funny how that works.
Same.
But I think the first game or few games that I really saw like really good graphical performance on my PC was like I want to say it was like Rise of the Tomb Raider, actually. Like I think that was one of the first narrative games that I played on this machine, and it just blew me. And I don't even think it was on my PC that I have now. It was on the one before that. But even then, like I was just blown away by how everything looked. And I think on this machine in particular, the one that I'm using now, it's even more impressive than that one. And I think I played Resident Evil 2. I think that was one of the first narrative games that I played. And that and like Devil May Cry 5, like both of those were less so Devil May Cry 5. It's a little more not as impressive looking, but RE2 was like that game just in general looks mind blowing no matter what you play it on. And like I really thought my PC made it look really good. And I was even streaming that game. So like even while streaming, it looked just fantastic. And what else was he asking here? But yeah, in terms of like, I can't imagine myself ever playing a shooter on a console again. Like, after experiencing like 144 frames for a shooter, I can't imagine not doing that, or even playing with a controller in a shooter. That would feel so weird to me. I think I tried to play BioShock like earlier this year, and I had a copy on PS4, but I just couldn't do it. I literally couldn't aim. I couldn't hit anything. So I was
Dude,
like, okay.
my entire time using a bow and arrow in The Last of Us, and I'm just like, man, please, if I could just have a mouse and keyboard, I could be so much better at this game.
Oh yeah, dude, same. I can't hit anything.
Yeah.
What else we got here?
For me, the graphic wise, about I guess it was 2-ish years ago when I like went all out and got my like 1080 Ti and 7700K and had like at the time like biggest baddest gaming setup you could have. I loaded up The Witcher 3 and cranked it up at 4K and ultra settings, and it just like blew my mind because I'd upgraded from just like a 1060 3 gig card, and was playing pretty much everything like 1080p medium to high settings in some cases. So just having that massive jump was just like, holy crap, like I did not know games could look like that. And I think like the first new game I got with that was Shadow of Mordor, and that looked really good too. And then Origins came out later, and I was playing that in 4K, and it was just consistently just like blowing my mind how good it looked. So now I'm kind of just like numb to it. I don't
yeah,
really get that.
it's just how they look now.
Now it's just like, yeah, it's like Doom Eternal looks freaking insane, but it's just like I just see it and I'm like, yeah, that looks really good. Whereas 2 years ago I would have been like, oh my gosh, like losing my mind over it.
And it's funny, like Doom's a weird exception for me because like everything's happening so quickly. It's almost like you don't even have time to just like sit around and appreciate everything, because everything's
Yeah.
just, you got hordes of demons just stressing you out and like, just constantly charging at you. But
Did you
Sure.
finish Doom Eternal, Jacob?
I did. Yeah,
Nice.
I loved it. It was great.
It was good. I always want to boot it up and just play it, but there's
Mhm.
always like a massive update. I'm just like, oh. So I just need to let it update overnight at some point.
Mm-hmm. I could have played it more. I didn't do any of the like Slayer gates. I just played through the main narrative. Yeah, and I enjoyed Doom Eternal. What's our next question, boy? Where are the questions? Okay. All right. Next question comes to us from Isaac Clark, and he asks, for most lucky boy in WoW, Jacob, what's your opinion towards the latest and largest scandals in the WoW community? Most successful guild in WoW, Method, exploded and dissolved for this one. Many famous WoW streamers were exposed and accused of sexual assault. What is your take on these series of scandals? So obviously, well, I guess not obviously, but I have been sort of following this over the last day or so, and it is sort of, this is not good. So in particular, Method they're basically like an esports team. Like they have, I think they sort of they were a guild in WoW, and then they sort of like they're still a guild in WoW, or I think they might have just dissolved, but they were a guild in WoW, and then they sort of like became a esports team. So they have like teams competing in WoW and like other games too now. And then they all like a lot of times esports teams, they sort of like almost act as like agencies in terms of like contracting, or not contracting, but like they sponsor players like streamers, people that compete for them, or just people that play the game, and like they think that they can sponsor and share their content with, so they do that. And one of their guild members, someone that was a part of Method, was named Method Josh, and all these allegations have come out about him, sexually assaulting women, potentially raping someone. And not only him, but apparently the higher ups at Method knew about this and knew that the police have investigated him in the past. And the thing about the investigation was that they didn't find anything conclusive, so no charges were pressed. But all these women have come out and said things about him, and the higher ups at Method have known about this, his past struggles, and they kept him on the team anyway. So a lot of people are in the droves leaving the organization right now, whether it's higher ups, whether it's people that were part of the guild, whether it's casters that would host their events, or streamers that were partnered with them through branding. So all these people are leaving in droves, and it's just a huge shit show. And it's not just the WoW community. Like, this is happening across the industry. I think it's just one person came out, and it's sort of inspired all these other, whether they're male or female, who have had bad experiences in the industry with prominent figures, to come out and share their stories, which is great. I commend these people for doing that and being brave to tell their stories. But it's an absolute shit show. Like, these past few days, like reading all these accounts, I've been reading threads of people's experiences with different people. And even just yesterday, I don't know if this is related, but Dr. Disrespect just got banned from Twitch permanently. Like, he's just done. So we don't even know what happened. Like, he got off his stream last night, and then he was banned, and all his subs were taken away. And he's just apparently like apparently people know, but they're not sharing what happened yet. And apparently it's pretty severe. So he must have done something very bad. And I'm very eager to see what happened in terms of that. But another person in the WoW community, his name's Swifty, he had 2 allegations come out against him too. And Swifty was like one of those OG streamers on Twitch when it first was becoming a thing. Like, in the old days, Twitch was obviously a lot smaller back in the day, but as the years have sort of gone on, it's gotten bigger and bigger, and with the whole ninja thing, it really exploded. But WoW used to be like the biggest game on Twitch back in the day, when WoW was more popular too. And he was like one of those top streamers. So I guess for me personally, like, he's actually come out and denied the allegations against him. So it's like, like I don't watch him anymore, but like I checked out his stream and like people were like donating him lots of money because they're like supporting him and they care about him because he generally comes off as a nice guy. So it was like a surprising to a lot of people that he would, have these things come out against him. So at the end of the day, this is a giant shit show, and it's just crazy. Like I'm glad someone asked this question because I did want to sort of like speak my mind a little bit about this stuff without like obviously making the whole show about it. So yeah, it's just a mess. I think Josh is a terrible person if all these things are true, which they appear to be. And Method tried to just, slide this aside or just not worry about it. And I think because of that, Method as an organization is just going to dissolve and fall apart, which is, it is what it is. They've messed up and everyone's pissed at them. So, and another big thing with Method is that they basically control the whole WoW scene. Like they have 2 or 3 esports teams and they're like the most well-known name in the scene. And like with them potentially going away, like what does this mean for WoW esports? Not that it's huge even to begin with, but maybe this creates more opportunities for other people to rise up and, make names for themselves, or, maybe this is really bad for just the scene in general. But definitely these women deserve to be heard, and I think it's good that this is happening. But sorry, I kind of rambled there, but that's sort of my general thoughts on everything.
No, it's good. I'm glad we have somebody here that can speak on it, because I have no clue about any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's also why I didn't want to bring it up. Like I know like I'm really into like Twitch as like a form of entertainment. Like I consume a lot of it, so this is sort of more of a, I guess, prominent issue for me.
Yeah.
So I just think it's I like gaming has always sort of had this like protective cloud over it in terms of like you can do whatever you want. It's a lawless land. It's like the internet, right? Like it's people can be shitty and there's no consequence. So, and I guess it's whether you think it's good or bad, things are happening to hold people more accountable, especially if you have influence. And I think that's important, regardless of where you have influence. But
for sure.
That's it. I want to stop talking. Garrett, I think we have one more, and it is the script.
I want to hold that for next week.
You want to hold it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But thank you, Sam. I'm excited to read that. We'll start with that in AskIOG next week.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
But, ladies and gents, that'll be episode 237 of the It's Obvious podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Oh yeah, I meant to say also I don't have much to comment either on all those situations. It's just kind of like, dang, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So I've never kept up with Dr. Disrespect, but if it's as serious as people are claiming it is, it's going to be either alarming or surprising to see whatever it is that's going on. But
and like he's had a history of being, he's been banned before, suspended, but never like permanently banned. So
a very 80s rock star of him.
That wig he wears, man, it's ridiculous.
But this was fun, gentlemen. All the stuff we talked about, Cyberpunk, Last of Us, Diablo, Marvel, all this stuff is very exciting. I know we're going to have much more to say about Last of Us going forward. I know we're excited about Ghost next month. So ton of fun gaming stuff on the horizon. I know Jacob and I have talked about wanting to do videos aside from the podcast. It's just a matter of when we can get together.
Yeah, I know we talked about getting together this week, but I had no time. I apologize.
It's all good.
Like I was just slammed.
I still presently have time most days. So whatever day you just feel like coming over, just by all means.
Okay. Like, what are you doing Monday night?
No plans as of right now.
I could potentially come then.
Okay.
We can talk about it.
Just say the word and you can come over.
Okay.
But everyone tuning in, thank you so much as always. We love hearing from you as well. So comment on the YouTube version or message us on Discord, any of our social media. We'd love to hear from you either regarding stuff in the podcast or anything outside of this show that's going on in the gaming world. We'd love to hear from you and encourage you to engage as much as you're willing. But as always, this podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, and many other services. You can follow us at ItsObviousGaming on all of our social media. And join us on Discord, where it is a fun, engaging, loving community. So we invite you there as well. But gentlemen, that is all from me. Any closing thoughts?
Nope.
Don't think so. Just have a good rest of your week.
If you guys made it this far in the episode, thanks for watching the whole thing. We love you guys. Please leave us more questions for next week's episode. We need lots of good questions, just in case the news sucks next week, which is usually what happens. Like, we'll have like a really, informed lot of different stories one week. Then the next week it'll just be, crickets. So even just so like we can build like a backlog of questions, I think would be nice. Just so, like, not that I don't like asking for questions every week, but it's always just nice to know that we have questions, to fill up a healthy amount of screen time, which is good. And, we like hearing feedback and, communicating with you guys as best we can. And questions are a great way to do that. And you can be on the show. So
For sure.
that's all I got, boys. I hope you guys have a good week, and I will see you next time.
Likewise. See ya.
Bye-bye.